Hey guys, so we're back, and as a religious couple living in Israel and married, I think one of the biggest questions that runs through everyone's head is the marriage ceremony, getting married in Israel. And I have so many questions and so many interesting points to come up to, but I feel like the first kind of hurdle is, what does a religious wedding of two women look like? How is it built? I would love to get a little story of your wedding. How'd that happen? How'd it go?
So, we did not actually get married in Israel, and we are not officially married here yet, but we will be. Mm-hmm. We got married in America, and we got the document that we need from America to be able to take to Mizrach HaPanim here. Mm-hmm. And Israel, fortunately for us and for a lot of people, recognizes marriages from outside of Israel. So we will go around the Rabbanut, because the Rabbanut will not marry us, which I'm okay with. I understand where their values are, and I understand that we don't have a halachic marriage. We both are fine with that. But we still wanted, because marriage is, it's originally a religious thing, now it can also be civil, but so we did want a religious ceremony. I connect to the idea of marriage as being a religious, more or less orthodox ceremony. I went to a lot of specifically Chabad weddings when I was in seminary, a lot of girls, and so there are a lot of nigunim that I like that are Chabad, and other songs that we hear at weddings in Israel that we also don't hear in America. So the big thing for us when putting together the big thing for us when putting together this ceremony, Jeanne just killed a spider.
It's all good.
Was, so my family's not religious, and we're having it with mostly them attending, is how do we not overwhelm them with religiosity? The fact that we're two women was not an issue at all. My family's super liberal. We're definitely not the first queer couple in the family. We're old news at this point.
Really? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Love that.
So, but I was really nervous about the religious part. And we designed our ceremony off of a basic Orthodox wedding. It was hard for me going into it because there wasn't a cookie cutter wedding we could choose. This is the one I want. And I really didn't want the stress of having to make my own ceremony. Yeah. But there wasn't something in existence.
Right.
So we consulted a mentor who lives in our neighborhood around the corner from us in Nachlaot, and she worked with us on explaining the traditional ceremony to us. We also did a sort of premarital counseling with her.
Cool.
And then working with us on what things we would need to change because the wording didn't work, and what things we could choose. So we really ended up choosing our own, but still following the traditional structure. So we had a chuppah. We had both of the parts, the betrothal or engagement under the chuppah, followed by the actual marriage ceremony, with Sheva Brachot in English and in Hebrew. And they were exactly the same as the ones you would find at a regular Orthodox ceremony, except for the words that we had to choose. That would be different because it says man and wife, and so the man part wasn't going to work.
yeah, I understand why.
Our ketubah differs a great deal because the traditional document didn't make sense for us. Yeah. And so we consulted a gay religious couple that I know, who formerly lived in Nachlaot, now in Baka, another area of Jerusalem. And they sent us all their research that they had done leading up to their marriage ceremony. And there was some information from the conservative movement. And one was an option for a Brit Ahava, a covenant of love between two partners. And we used most of the wording from that and changed a few words and had someone help us with the Hebrew. So our ketubah is in both Hebrew and in English.
Wow.
And then it talks about what we want to share between each other and in our household and what we're committing to and how we want to support each other. And we didn't include the part that Jeanne has to buy me clothes and feed me and provide a house, but...
I don't know why it should be me.
Where is the stereotypes that you have to do it or she has to do it?
Jeanne's the career woman.
Fine.
Yeah.
That's actually really cool. I feel like what's missing in like the Orthodox chuppah, at least like when I think about marriage, is like the choice of it all and the connection to what's happening. And I always have been like, yeah, it should be more individualized and we should do it. It's also interesting to hear when you don't have a choice and you have to make it individualized, how hard that must be. Like there's the grass is always greener on the other side type of feeling. Like it's interesting really to hear that, you know, to go through it, first of all, to learn it is interesting, but also it's a burden, meaning you wish that there was a way to just take this and not have to think about it.
Absolutely. I wanted as little stress about the ceremony as possible. I didn't grow up dreaming of my wedding and how I would make it like this and make it like that. And I really wanted to say, I don't care, just do it the way it's supposed to be done. So it was very overwhelming for me that there wasn't that option.
For me, it was nice to actually have something tailored for us. For the ketubah, I was very happy that we found something that was good for us, but also that we had the choice to change words, to do what was making sense for our couple. And so that was actually really nice. And I don't think I would have liked having something, you know, thrown on us and this is what, you know, how it is in tradition, like this is what you have to do and that's it. And because now when I read it, well, it actually makes sense. It's not something that's, you know, far away and I don't understand and that's whatever, you know, it's just a marriage thing. No, it's like when I read it, I feel it. And the chuppah, like the religious ceremony, was also, for me, it was the best part of the wedding. I really, really enjoyed it. And so for the 7 circles, we actually both circled each other. And we talked about it for a long time. Like, what do we do? Do we do half and half?
I was worried it would be really boring for my family to watch us, you know, encircle each other 7 times each. And they're just sitting there wondering what's going to happen next.
And then they actually said that it was beautiful. So
it was most people's favorite part.
Really?
So
it was really, really nice.
Did you feel like you had a connection to the building of the chuppah? Like for you, you said it was a little bit more difficult to like click because you wished it was just cookie cutter, but you said you liked that it was more personalized. Did you feel like like the blessings of, did you feel like you had a better connection with it, or that you...
I think so. Yeah, I was really happy to be in charge of you know, organizing how it's gonna be, and I'm a perfectionist, so everything was you know, to the minute.
I got
we do this, so this person says this, and then, you know, so I really understood what was going on, and I was not just passive and letting it be, but I really understood each part, and I really, you know, we worked on it.
And one really nice thing is that the woman we worked on the ceremony with was able to officiate for us.
Oh, that's so nice.
And it had been a concern from the beginning is who would officiate, because I was never observant outside of Israel. I don't know any religious community there, and it's my wedding. I want it to be someone I connect to, but I also want it to be someone who is observant in a way that I've chosen to be, and I know would support me that way. So we got so lucky to have the woman who did the premarital counseling and worked with us on the ceremony actually officiate.
So she flew to America to officiate the wedding?
She happened to be flying for something else, which is how we were able to get her. And she was in the area, so she stayed a few extra days and officiated for us. So this was one aspect of it not being a traditional ceremony that I really liked, was that it wasn't some rabbi that I might not feel as close with. It's someone from my community I view as a mentor. We have meals with her every now and then. And this made it really special.
Is she, because you said she counseled you, is she a rabbi? Is she like a religious counselor? Or is she just someone who's very knowledgeable in the community?
She's not a rabbi. She was extremely trained. She's trans and was a Baal Tshuva as a man around the age of 20, and learned a lot with Chabad and ended up teaching in the Old City for many years before transitioning much later in life. So she received a lot of religious learning that women at the time were not privy to.
Yeah.
So though not a rabbi, she's extremely knowledgeable and now teaches Hasidus classes in the neighborhood and also in one of the local seminaries.
That's so cool. I guess I feel like that's a privilege, you know, like for someone in this community that like you have this like you have somebody who got to study it with everybody else and can come and really show the community like, hey, like Judaism has so many avenues, like let's find the right one for each couple or for each person.
Absolutely. And she was amazing at helping me. I went to see her once before we even started planning the wedding. And just to help me with dealing with the paradox in my head of being religious and being gay and getting married as both of them.
Right.
So, yeah.
That's so interesting. And did your family fly out for the wedding from France?
So my mom came from France and my sister from Israel. She lives in Tel Aviv.
Ah, cool.
The other part of the family couldn't fly, but we went to France. After the wedding, we had like a 2 weeks honeymoon in France, and
Cute.
we did a reception with all my family.
Oh, that's so nice.
So even though they were not at the ceremony, we still had something with them. The reason why it was okay, I guess, for us is because, well, most of my family is not Jewish. So for them, having a Jewish ceremony is not something important, so important. So, but to have a celebration and a reception, that was important.
Yeah. I totally get that. I feel like a lot of families as well just have receptions and don't really make a big deal of the weddings. Like, and then when the wedding is a big deal and people can't come, you just figure out a better way. So I feel like that makes sense. And then did you also seek personal counseling with this woman who helped you guys figure the wedding out?
So we did together the counseling. I just love her, and I didn't see anyone else marrying us. It was my first choice, obviously. For me, it was not a question, and I enjoyed the counseling very much. I didn't have the same connection to being, to have this paradox. I didn't have this paradox in me, so.
I would actually like, if you guys don't mind talking a little bit about the counseling, I feel like that's so interesting. What is it to be in like pre-wedding counseling as a same-sex couple? Because I feel like we all in our minds have like, in Israel there's this thing called a kala class and a chatan class, and you meet with your person, but I feel like it's really interesting to know how they tailored it or how she tailored it to you guys.
So this was something that was important for me, and I asked her to do it. It's not something she normally offers. Well, now she does. But my parents had told me years ago, and I remembered that they had to go to premarital counseling to be able to get the blessing of the priest, which was very important for my Catholic grandmother.
Okay.
They were married by a rabbi, but before she would show up at the wedding, this was something she needed. And my mom told me that this premarital counseling was wonderful and addressed a whole bunch of couples issues that could come up and helped them make sure they were on the same track and figure out how to work with each other a little bit better, and that it was definitely something she would recommend before getting married.
Wow.
And I had this in my head for years, and so when we got engaged, I thought, okay, I want to do some kind of premarital counseling. And what we ended up doing with our mentor was there wasn't really anything specifically tailored to the fact that we're a same-sex couple, I think. It was about trying to figure out where our core values lie and making sure that they line up together, which I guess as a responsible couple about to get married, you should be doing,
Right.
but we wouldn't have thought to do it on our own.
For sure.
And we were relieved to find that our core values were very similar, and the ones that were not the same were at least compatible.
Right.
And we learned a little bit about
Nonviolent communication.
nonviolent communication. Thank you.
Wow.
And practiced ways of discussing issues in a healthy way and a productive way, because there are always going to be issues in any relationship, friendship,
Also,
partnership.
like, issues in life, and like if we don't have the same position on a certain thing, then like how to discuss it, and yeah, not argue, so like fight, but just communicate and talk, and yeah, it was really interesting.
That's actually amazing. Like, I kind of just want to focus on that just for a second. That's crazy. I feel like a lot of times I've heard of stories that don't sound like this at all about, like, pre-marriage counseling, really. And I feel like also for this woman who counseled you guys, like, the emotional intelligence that she must have in order to speak to a newly engaged, almost married couple about nonviolent communication, how to discuss things and core values. Like, I feel like that's not necessarily like the cookie cutter way a lot of people make these classes, and I'm honestly so genuinely happy to hear that that's happening, because that's unique on its own spectrum. Like, not just because you're a same-sex couple, just like the fact that she's having these sessions is unique. And like, I don't know if she's even listening to this, but like, super big props. Like, that's like super, super cool.
Another reason I think it was important is also because we are both more in a community where people often meet through shidduchim and have a mentor guiding them through the dating process, and we didn't. And I wish we had, but there's not really a structure in place for that. So to be in this counseling with her and have her going through all the things that I think that mentor would have guided us on, she was helping guide us, and we could make sure that it wasn't just in our heads, like we were in love and ignoring everything else, but we really were good together as partners and working together, and our values matched up. So that was really affirming.
That's so cool. And also, did it not touch upon halachot at all in this counseling section?
We did not. And
She did ask, I think, if like we were interested, like, I don't know, like the mikveh and things
so
like
she
that.
she asked if we were interested.
Yeah.
And I think at one point I might be interested in some sort of kala classes, but it wasn't relevant to us together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had the Kala classes.
The first time.
But it's not there's no connection. Like, it doesn't for us at least, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm just asking because I feel like that's a really interesting world, like where those connect. But I also totally see the legitimacy of being like, right now it's just not relevant.
Yeah, I am interested in it because I love learning halacha and different rules and all of this, but there was enough wedding stress in other areas, and it was something that I felt could wait till later if I decided to revisit it.
Yeah, fair. That's really cool. I feel like just kind of like to go back and like review everything, like it's so interesting like how it all kind of worked out in your marriage, like not just like your meeting story, which in my mind is like mind-blowing, but not like to get engaged and to have to also go to another country to get married. I feel like
it's stressful.
Yeah, like I feel like I didn't even stress that enough. Like that's so stressful. Like the fact that here in Israel, like the good part is that they accept like outside of Israel marriages, but
well, we would have gone to America anyway, honestly.
Okay.
So my whole family is there. I still have 2 living grandmothers who definitely could not make the flight to Israel, and it was very important for me to have them at my wedding.
right.
But yeah, it would have been nice if they could all fly here to my home.
Right.
We were very lucky to have Larissa's family taking care of a lot of wedding organization.
Right. It was hard because I would have loved to have gone to tastings with my mom and picked out my dress with my mom, and it was like a mother-daughter thing that I wanted to do. And this added another layer of difficulty because she and I were separate.
Right.
So
absolutely. Yeah. Even though you guys would have been separate if she had to fly here to do all that stuff.
She could have flown for a few months.
Fine, you're right. I won't fight you on that. That's fair. But yeah, I think that also, like, for people listening, it's really important to, like, put on that, like, to realize the amount of barriers that is put in front of you to be a religious person who wants to get married here in Israel and doesn't and can't go through the Rabbanut. Like, there is something really, I feel like it's also, like, I don't know why it's, like, humbling to think about, like, the privilege that a lot of people have to be able just to get married so easily, while so many people have to go through all these different barriers and have to go to a different country to get married.
Right.
Like, that is, like, it's just a lot. And first of all, like, go you guys. Like, that's great.
Fortunately, we have friends that guided us with some of the process who they are actually, we don't really care, but they're very anti-Rabbanut, and they did not want to go through the Rabbanut, even though they are a heterosexual couple, religious, and so they had already done this process and taught us how to do it and what we had to do.
Nice. So that's actually really helpful. But yeah, so I feel like your whole story is really mind-blowing. Also the fact that you're married for a year and a half, you guys said?
No, we've been together almost 2 years, and we got married
5 months ago.
5 months ago, yeah.
Honestly, it makes it even more mind-boggling that you've only known each other for almost 2 years.
No, we know each other for 3 years.
For 3 years, but you guys
been together for 2 years.
That's even more mind-boggling, I feel, because this story to me, like, feels like this could have happened over 5 years, you know, like, until you met in the Opan and, like, all these different things, like, in my mind could have.
I think it went faster because we're both, like, in these observant communities where if you know you want to be with someone, get married.
Yeah.
Do it right away.
Exactly.
Wow.
It took too long for us.
Okay, no pressure on anybody who's listening. Don't feel pressured ever to get married. Do your thing in your own time. But yeah, I totally get that. Yeah, is there anything else you guys want to share? That's good.
No, thank you very much.
Thank you guys. I just want to say thank you, not on just on my behalf, because I felt like I learned a lot, and you guys are also really interesting and cool people to talk to, but also I'm saying thank you for whoever is listening, whoever hopefully finds this and needs this. I hope that they're listening and that I'm giving you guys thanks on their behalf, because I know that it's really important for people to hear these stories. So
we're happy to be helping people and talking about it. It's important.
Yeah, absolutely.